Anger is deepening, 1 month underwater, and now high tides and gale force winds will bring more flooding.
Good morning. Daewon International Middle School has a new English teacher. Due to this pandemic, students have not yet met him. Who is he? What is he? Students are dying to find out. Hello everyone, I'm Mr. John, your new English teacher. I'll be in charge of your reading class for this semester. Unfortunately, due to the current situation that we're in, we won't be doing a lot of interactive work. But I tried to make this class as interesting and informative as possible. So let's start with today's class.
War continues to ravage Europe, but help is on the way. Every able-bodied young man is lining up to serve his country. Even little Timmy is doing his part, collecting scrap metal. Nice work, Timmy.
Who cares? Play the movie already.
Hey, you want to show some respect?
Meanwhile, overseas, our brave boys are showing the Axis powers that the price of freedom is never too high.
Let's go. Get on with it. Hey, just start the cartoon.
Hey, you want to shut up?
Things have changed a lot since World War II. The way we receive the news also changed. I usually get my news through the internet. I don't have a radio or a television at home. Nor do I subscribe to a newspaper. I mostly watch the news on YouTube or read the news articles that is posted on news media websites. What about you? How do you get the news? Do you read, listen, or watch the news? Please share your answers on the comment section below. Okay, now let's open your textbooks to page 136, page 136. Now read the title of reading 2. That's the passage that we're going to read. Read the title, then look at the photos on pages from 136 to 139. And each of the photos will have captions, so please read that too. I'll give you about 30 seconds to do so, so please begin. Okay, time's up. What is the title of this reading? Please, everyone, at once, please. What is the title of this reading? Again? That's right. It's called Telling Kibera's Story. So the key word is Kibera here. Kibera is the key word. So the story is going to be about story of Kibera, right? So who is Kibera? Or what is Kibera? Once you've read the caption, that caption of the pictures, we will quickly realize that Kibera is not a name of a person, but actually a name of a place. So the first question is, where is Kibera? Can anyone tell me where Kibera is located? That's right. It's in Kenya. It's in the country called Kenya. And does anyone know where Kenya is located? In which continent? Yes, that's right. Kenya is one of the about 50 or so countries in Africa. It's one of the well-known African countries. Yes, Kibera is located in Kenya, and on the map you see the red dot, and that is where Kibera is located. Actually, Kibera is a neighborhood in a city called Nairobi, and Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya. So why is Kenya, why is it referenced here? Why is it special? Why is it, what kind of unique quality does Kibera has? Let's find out. Okay, the second question. What kind of place is Kibera? Can anyone describe by looking at the pictures? Can anyone tell me what kind of place Kibera might be? Yes, you might have caught some of the key words there, like the word poor. And by looking at the photos, you would you might guess what sort of place, living conditions this place might be. I have additional pictures taken of Kibera. People, this is a street that people walk by, and this is a picture of the houses in Kibera. Would you like to go and live there? What kind of place do you think Kibera might be like? Do you think it will be comfortable? Do you think it will be convenient? Neighborhoods or places like these, we would call them slums. Slums are the places where usually unfortunate people, financially difficult people live. We call them poor people. So Kibera is a neighborhood that has poor people. Okay, the last question is, what is the man in the photo listening to? This is the photo that we are talking about. What is the man with the cap, listening to? That's right. He seems to be listening to something, right? And he's holding a radio. And he might be, he might be listening to all sorts of things, but in this instance, there's a high possibility that he might be listening to the news, right? Yeah, he might be listening to music, or he might be listening to other stuff too. But yes, they are in Kibera. They don't have televisions and they don't have other means to acquire to listen or get the news. So it seems that radio is one of the few means for the Kiberans to getting the news that they need. Now let's look at some of the vocabularies that you will encounter throughout this reading passage. So before we go any further, please listen and repeat. It is very important to repeat, say things out loud, because the more you speak, the more you use, you'll be able to, the more you practice, you'll be able to better yourself. Okay, here it goes. Community, community. Residence, residence. Unhealthy, unhealthy. Dangerous, dangerous. Set up, set up. Unsafe, unsafe. Donate, donate. Train, train. Volunteer, volunteer. Publicize, publicize. Okay, so these are some of the words that you will be you'll be meeting in this reading passage. Why don't we put these words into three separate categories? First, words relate to people living in a particular place. So first, look for words that describes people living in a specific location. So that's what you're going to do, the first category. So please mark or circle or do something to identify these words. Okay, second category. What are the words that describes a place negatively? Words that have a negative connotation. So please mark these words also. Okay, the last section will be words that is related to running and funding a big project. Words that that is related to managing, a big project. So I'll give you about 30 seconds to do so. So please mark, please circle, or mark triangles or whatever to categorize these words into three different sections. Okay, so here we go. Okay, that wasn't too difficult, was it? Yes. Okay, so let's go one by one. Okay, number one. What are the words that is related to people living in a specific location? What are the words that describes people? Yes, the first word is community. Community. Yes. What is a community? A community is a people living together, living within certain boundary, right? Yes. What is the next word that is related to this? Um, yes, residence. That's right, residence. So what does the word resident mean? A resident means it refers to people who live in a certain place, reside in certain place. You call these people residents. So are there any more? Are there any more words that might describe people living in a particular place? Okay, no. Yes, right. Okay, next one. Which word describes a place negatively? What are the negative, sounding words among these? The words that we have in front of you. Yes, right. Dangerous, like really pops out, right, doesn't it? Okay, dangerous, right. You all know what dangerous means, right? Something that is some that's bad, that might harm people, right? Yes, dangerous. Okay, are there any more? Right, yes. Unhealthy. Unhealthy, right, yes. Something that is also might harm you, especially in a way, your health, your body might, uh, get hurt in certain way, right? What other words are there? Is that all? Yes, there's one more, right? The word unsafe. Unsafe. Yes. It means that it's not, it's not a good place to be, right? There might be danger around the corner. You might get hurt easily. These are the unsafe things. Okay, good. Okay, the last section of the words that are related to running and funding a big project. Okay, set up, yeah, set up. What does it mean? It means uh, to prepare something, right? To prepare for something. Good. Are there any more? Yes, volunteer. Volunteer is another word. Volunteer is a person who helps, who gives their time, sometimes money as well, but usually their time and their effort, energy into doing something for free. Those are the people who are volunteering. You usually need volunteers to actually fund, when you're funding something. Right. Next. Okay, donate. Yeah, donate is another word that's related to volunteer. Donate, you can donate money, you can donate your time, you can give. Donate means give things for free, give out things. Okay, good. Yeah, are there any more? Yes, publicize. Publicize. Yeah, publicize. What does publicize mean? It means make something publicly known, make things known to the public, to other people. Public means people. Okay, good. So that's it, right? Ah, yes. There's one more, right? One more. The word train. The train here doesn't mean choo-choo train, but actually means preparing someone, training someone, preparing someone so that the person can take on certain action or certain duty, things like that. Okay, excellent, good. I think you're almost ready. I mean, yeah, nearly ready to tackle today's passage. Before we go in, let's make a prediction about this passage. What do you think this reading will be about? To give you a hint, to give you a bit of clue, I've given you a piece of a photograph here. Yes, this is a photo of me when I was younger. I used to live in South Africa, and occasionally I would visit with my family. I would visit the local orphanage, and I would do a volunteer work such as these. I'm the one with the darker blue kind of yeah, the t-shirt, and also in front of me is my younger sister. So, what do you think this reading will be about? You don't have to say it loud. You might just, write it down somewhere, or you could just, think it to yourself what these, reading might contain. Okay, so let's go in. Let's delve into this reading. The title is called Telling Kibera's Story. Telling Kibera's Story. I didn't actually put in the slide there, but uh, okay. So one of the words that I left it out is um, it is not always easy for a poor community in a distant part of the world to tell its story. Learn how the people of Kibera in Kenya were able to let the world know about their way of life. So on page 136 is a small set of short uh, small paragraph. I'll just read it once more and I'm going to explain what it means. It is not always easy for a poor community in a distant part of the world to tell his story. Yes, so usually poor people, usually the weak people who do not usually have funds or power, um, they don't really have the say in what they are feeling, what their lives are like, especially if you live far away from the other, from the rest of the world. So it's not easy to let yourself know to the other parts of the world. Learn how the people of Kibera in Kenya were able to let the world know about their way of life. So we have to learn, despite the handicap that they had, despite the sets of problems of the poverty, the, the lack of funding, they were able to let themselves known to the world and the way of life, how the living standard, the way, how they live, things like that. If you look at the caption for page 137 of the book, it says a crowded part of Kibera, one of Nairobi's biggest slums. As I go on, I'm going to show you a map of Nairobi. Now, do you remember what Nairobi is? Can you tell me? Can anyone tell me? That's right. Nairobi is not just a city, but the capital city of Kenya. And in the map, I will show you that there are not just one, but several slums within Nairobi. Now let's go delve into our actual reading. I'm going to read the whole paragraph, and I'm going to go back and explain what each of these sentences or what these paragraphs mean. Okay. News stories tell us about everything from natural disasters to celebrities' lives. But what don't we hear about on the news? Are there stories of everyday people that we should also hear about? One American student doing volunteer work in the Kenyan slum of Kibera thought there was. Okay, that's our first paragraph. So on the news, if you when you turn on the television for 9 o'clock news, what sort of stories are you exposed to? When you go on the internet, um, what sort of news do you usually see? We recently have witnessed monsoon. There were several typhoons, heavy rain, so there was a lot of situations. There were a lot of unfortunate events due to that, and also we have been in this several months long pandemic. These things are usually on the news, and also there are people. Sometimes there are stories about people, right? Usually people who have been into who've uh, who've encountered uh, unusual circumstances, usually tragedy, accidents, and things like that. And also, we hear news about famous people, like the politicians, and also movie stars, singers, and such. We call them celebrities. So not only does the news gives us information about these natural occurring disasters, but also the lives of famous or sometimes important people. But we don't get to listen to all the people's lives in the world, and that would take a lot of time, wouldn't it? So we only have selected number of news. So this person goes on to say, the writer goes on to ask a question, but what don't we hear about on the news? There are only certain proportion, only as allotted time we actually have for the news. We can't tell every single event that occurs every single moment. So what are the things that are not chosen to be part of the news that we see every day? Are there stories of everyday people that we should also hear about? Everyday people. Who are everyday people? Everyday people are common people, just like me, usually people around us are people who are not known by thousands, tens of thousands people by other people. So are there certain people that these lives should be reported to the rest of the world? One American student doing volunteer work in the Kenyan slum of Kibera thought there was. Not many people think this way, but this American boy, this student, he visited Kenya, and while he was there, he was doing volunteer work, and while he was there, he thought that he wanted to share the news. He wanted to share the story of these group of people who live in this, condition to the rest of the world, to his friends, families. So this is where it starts. So the first paragraph roughly shows kind of an introduction to what the whole reading is going to be. Okay, so the next paragraph. Kibera is a few miles from the center of Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. Some people who live there are hungry. Clean water is hard to get. Diseases are common, and most buildings are unsafe. Life is so bad in Kibera that the Kenyan government had plans to tear it down eventually. But was tearing down Kibera really the best solution for its residents? Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, you see there on the right the map of Kenya and the location of Nairobi. And within Nairobi, you see, yeah, several area with the name of the places. These are all slums. These are the slums. So there is not only one, but there are several. So Kibera is a few miles from the center of Nairobi. Maybe the city center is not that far off. Kibera is actually one of the closest slums, just southern part of Nairobi. So Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya. Some people who live there are hungry. They said a slum is an area where there are not enough things to go around, not enough food, not enough water, not enough electricity. Usually in these areas, if you live in these areas, you have to go to a certain place outside your home to get your water, to cook food, to wash, and also you don't usually have your own toilet. You don't usually have your own house restroom. You have a public toilets to go to. Sometimes, it's usually in the mornings, there might be huge lines. Okay, so clean water is hard to get. Yes, diseases are common, and most buildings are unsafe. Usually, there might be a water pump in a certain location where a lot of people can gather and get the water that they need. And these water can easily get polluted. So a lot of people in these parts can get sick easily. So diseases are commonplace. There are a lot of sick people in these parts. One of the easier way to prevent sicknesses in a certain location is by providing fresh water, fresh, clean water to people. But slums like these do not usually have these clean water. And these buildings are unsafe. The pictures I've already shown you and the pictures in the book, you can clearly see that they are built with scraps, usually with metal plates, and it is really hard. It's easy for them to fall down. You are all familiar with Three Little Pigs, the story of Three Little Pigs, right? And these shacks, we call them, the houses in slums, are really unsafe. It's not really strong. But if you have a like strong wind, these houses might fall down. Life is so bad in Kibera that the Kenyan government had plans to tear it down eventually. So the living condition is so bad. It's not good. It's not just bad. It's very bad. That the Kenyan government said that we should do something about this. So they set up a plan to do what? To tear it down. What does tear it down mean? Tear. Tear means ripping. So let's look at the words here. To tear something down means to intentionally destroy a building or other structure because it is not being used or it is not wanted anymore. So in this case, they are clearly being used by people, right? But at the same time, uh, well, the people who are living there needs them, but the Kenyan government thinks that uh, these houses are not needed. Maybe they're going to build a new one. I'm not sure, but Kenyan government thought that these people are living in such a unsafe place that they need to do something about that. Okay, so the second word, eventually. What does eventually word mean? Means in the end, right? So at last. So it was an immediate decision. It took some while, it took some time for the Kenyan government to come up with this decision. But was tearing down Kibera really the best solution for its residents? Okay, so the Kenyan government thought that you need to tear down Kibera because things are so bad. It's not it has a bad living conditions. So thought that tearing down, just clearing all the buildings in Kibera is the best solution. That's what the Kenyan government thought. But is it the best solution for its residents? Is it the best solution for the people who actually live in Kibera? That is another question. Okay, most Kiberans didn't think so because they didn't want to lose their lifelong home. Other Kenyans thought tearing down Kibera was a good idea because it was such a dangerous and unhealthy place. However, most Kenyans did not really know what life was like in Kibera. So the people of Kiberans who actually live, the residents of Kibera, did they agree? Are they on the same page as the Kenyan government? Yes? No, they didn't think so. They didn't think that is a you know, good solution because the reason because they didn't want to lose their lifelong home. Because the people living in Kibera didn't want to lose their lifelong home. I think these people are attached to the way of life, uh, to the homes, the places that they've been living all their life. Other Kenyans thought tearing down Kibera was a good idea because it was such a dangerous and unhealthy place. Other Kenyans. Who are the other Kenyans? Kenyans who are not who are not the residents of Kibera are these Kenyans. They thought that tearing down Kibera was a good idea, right? Because it was such a dangerous and unhealthy place. Means it's not a good place. These places might, start crime. Uh, you know, maybe the rest of the people living Kenya thought that Kibera is such a dangerous, unsafe place that bad people might come from these places. However, most Kenyans did not really know what life was like in Kibera. But the other Kenyans thought that Kibera should be teared down, right? But they didn't really know what the people are like, who the people are, and how their lives were. They didn't really know about Kibera, but they thought Kibera should be teared down because they had this conception. They had this. They thought that Kibera was not a good place. There wasn't much news about life in Kibera. This was true even though major news media outlets such as the BBC, CNN, and the New York Times have offices in Nairobi. Kibera itself has just one radio station, Pamoja FM, and its weak radio signal does not even reach most parts of Nairobi. Okay, so there wasn't much news about life in Kibera. Kibera, as I mentioned earlier, usually news deals with important things, what people, a lot of majority people considers important, or the things that they are interested in. But a lot of people who are not residents of Kibera, they are not interested in Kibera. So, of course, the life in Kibera are not publicized. This was true even though major news media outlets such as the BBC, CNN, and the New York Times have offices in Nairobi. BBC, CNN, the New York Times is a major big, media companies, news companies. They are bigger than KBS, SBS, NBC. These big worldwide news media outlets are located in Nairobi, but still these big news agencies don't report nothing about Kibera. Kibera itself has just one radio station, Pamoja FM. So it seems that there are no means or way for the Kibera or the people of Kibera to send out news about themselves, because the only radio station that they have, the source of their news is one radio station, Pamoja FM. But they have one more handicap because they're not funded well, I guess. It has weak radio signal, which means that because it has weak radio signal, the signal cannot be reached by places far off. As I've mentioned, Kibera is part of Nairobi, the city of Nairobi. But because it has the Pamoja FM has weak radio signal, its signal does not even reach all the most parts of Nairobi. This is one of the reasons these Kiberans cannot spread news about their life in Kibera. Okay, so these are the first two paragraphs that we're going to we have read today. The other second half of the reading we are going to look at next class. Oh, okay, I forgot about this. The word media, what does media stands for? The word media is a newspapers, magazines, television, and radio considered as a group. You call these media. They usually deals with news, sending out stories and information to people, to the public. Okay, let's do one question together, and we'll be done for today. Okay, so please turn to page 139, just number 1. Choose the answer that best completes each of the following sentences. In paragraph 2, the writer shows A. what life is like in Kibera. B, that there are hardly any news organizations in Nairobi. What is the answer? Right. What life is like in Kibera is the answer. Okay, so that will be for today. And I will see you next time. Bye.